I'm Keira Vale, 28. Event producer. Las Vegas is the office, the backstage, the confessional booth, and the crime scene. If you've never been here in late June, imagine a hairdryer set to vindictive, aimed at your face while LEDs wink like they know your secrets. That's Vegas. The air tastes like neon and warm coins. And I love it. I love the build loading docks, at 4 a.m., forklifts humming, gaffer tape tattoos on my jeans, the exact second a blacked out ballroom inhales, and then exhales into spectacle. That morning, I was early to the conference room because hope still lived in me like a stubborn houseplant. I had a deck. The deck. Neon Roots. A hybrid desert night concert / immersive food and light festival. Think live sets woven with projection-mapped boulders, a culinary row lit with luminous botanicals, RFID wristbands that sync to a roaming soundtrack. I'd been crafting it for months between vendor quotes and tequila tastings that were absolutely research. I placed my laptop on the table. Polished glass, 10 leather chairs, 2 fridges of LaCroix, buzzing like anxious bees. Early bird gets the stage, I whispered to myself. The door opened, and Sloane Mercer swept in, late, but pretending it was fashion. Sloane is the coworker you invite to a group chat and then realize she's just there to screenshot it. Sharp blazer, sharper smile. Her hair was in one of those glossy low buns that announce, "I have my life together, and will take yours apart." "Keira," she said, "you're a saint. I had a fire drill with vendor contracts. Everything okay?" "Mm-hmm." She slid into the chair next to mine. "I just have to pull a few things together before the execs get here." No one pulls a few things together before a pitch unless they came to steal it. But I told myself I was being petty. We'd collaborated on smaller shows, traded load-in horror stories, shared lukewarm coffee at dawn loadouts. She'd never asked for my deck. I'd never offered. The execs arrived like weather. Our VP, Donovan, in his permanent navy suit. HR's Liana, who laughed in squeaks and took notes like she was building a lawsuit. Marketing's Diego, forever chewing invisible gum. "Let's hear what you've got," Donovan said, settling with a thump. "We need a Q4 tentpole." The strip's waking up. "I want something people fly in for." "My pleasure," I said, clicking to the title slide. Except, it wasn't my title slide. The projector hummed, and Sloane's laptop lit the wall with a clean, minimalist title. Neon Roots, an immersive concert experience. My slide, my font, my tagline with the colon I'd argued with myself about at 2 a.m. for 30 minutes. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I listened. Sloane's voice went silk smooth. "Imagine a desert night where the sound is alive. Where the food glows sustainably, of course, and the entire venue responds to your movement." She clicked through the concept video I cut on my couch, while my AC made a sound like it was dying for me. She had my vendor mock-ups. She had my budget breakdowns with my color coding. She even had the little joke I put in about glow-in-the-dark churros, because I thought the execs needed a sugar hook. Donovan leaned forward. "This feels fresh," he said. "Do we have artist interest?" "Preliminary conversations," Sloane said. My mouth moved. Nothing came out. Because I could hear my own voice in the video, my laugh behind the camera when a test lantern burst like a star. She didn't even edit out my laugh. It wasn't just theft. It was lazy theft. I waited for her to glance at me. She didn't. Liana scribbled something. Diego nodded, already seeing hashtags. I told myself, "Say something. Now. Stand up. Call it out." But inside my chest, things were breaking like glass dominoes, tiny one after another. What if I looked crazy? What if they believed her version? What if the room turned and I was a bad sport? I've been in rooms where the woman who complained wasn't in the next room. So, I froze. Which felt like betrayal, but I betrayed myself. She clicked to a slide titled Operations and Timeline. My slide. It had my seasonality notes, the wind load calculations for structures, because the desert can yank a truss out of nowhere. Donovan clapped softly. "This is the kind of thing that gets us in Billboard recaps." My name wasn't said. It hung over the table, unsummoned, like it was waiting to be called to stage, and the host skipped it. When the lights came up, everyone did that professional murmur thing. Great work, Liana said to Sloane. Stellar, Diego added. My tongue found itself. I have some additional. We can fold your notes into planning, Sloane said brightly, like a teacher telling a kid they could staple the handouts. Team effort. Team effort. Donovan nodded. Sloane, put a preliminary budget in my inbox by Friday. If this tightens up the way I think it will, we'll fast-track leadership adjustments on the team. You've got momentum. Leadership adjustments. The words landed on me like a falling set piece. The room drained. People left. The projector fan cooled down with a sigh, the way a stage exhales after curtain. Sloane unplugged her laptop. She finally looked at me. A sympathetic tilt of the head that said, "You understand." Or, "You'll swallow this." "Loved your churro joke," she murmured. "We'll talk about your role." "My role?" I asked. "Execution." She smiled. "You're incredible at making things happen. You're logistics magic. I'll handle vision, brand, the front of house relationships, so she'd be the face, and I'd be the hands that move the magic she'd stolen." "You used my test footage," I said. My voice sounded foreign, sandpapered. She shrugged. "We've always shared assets." "No," I said, and the word cut through the air. "We haven't." Her eyes flicked toward the door where Donovan had gone. Separate universes spun behind her gaze. "Calculations, exit strategies, don't be like this," she said softly. "It's a better career move for you than you think." She left me with the empty chairs and the smell of lemon cleaner. I walked out of the conference room and into heat that wrapped me up like a bad hug. The strip glared. A bus wrapped in an EDM DJ's face rolled by. I watched the driver's hands on the wheel and thought how easy it looked to turn, how hard it is to steer around the hurt. On the sidewalk, a bachelorette party passed me, wearing veils and matching temporary tattoos that said, "Till death do us party." One of them stumbled, laughed, and I wanted to be them for a second, someone whose biggest problem was glitter in their shoe. I kept walking until I was behind the hotel, where the dumpsters live and the crews smoke and tell the truth. Jersey, our lighting tech, flicked ash and squinted at me. "You look like someone told you confetti is illegal." "Sloane pitched my show," I said. Like it was hers. He let out a low whistle. "You gonna let that slide, Vale?" "I don't know," I said, meaning, I know, but fear is loud. He nodded toward the loading dock. "You were never a background player. Don't start now." I went back inside. My desk looked the same. Monstera leaves still unfurled. A new email pinged. Calendar hold. Leadership announcements. Friday, 10 a.m. I clicked. The body of the invite was blank but heavy. My cursor hovered over the little gray decline button, like it could refuse my entire reality. I didn't decline. Instead, I opened the folder on my desktop, titled NR Master. It held everything: mood boards, vendor invoices. The late-night voice memo, where I said, "Let the sculptures respond to touch." The render of a dance floor that lit up like hot coals. The behind-the-scenes clips, my voice laughing, my friends lifting, the bones of the show exposed. I watched one of the clips. Jersey wiggling a corroded light connector with a screwdriver. Me off camera going, "Don't die, please. I can't add a ghost to the budget." It was stupid and small and holy. My phone buzzed. Group chat. Event gremlins. My friend Maya sent a selfie from a venue in Reno with an SOS caption. Then, after seeing I'd gone silent, she DM'd. "You good?" "No," I typed. I told her. She sent back a string of knives and fire emojis. Then, "You document everything, right?" "Of course I do. My life is a spreadsheet with feelings." My feelings, though, were feral. I walked to the pantry for coffee I knew would taste like hot cardboard. On the way, I passed Sloane in the hall. She was telling someone about my vision and my relationships in the artist community. My jaw tightened so hard my molars might have signed an NDA. Back at my desk, I opened a new note. Title: What Happened? I typed out the facts. Date, time, who was in the room, what was said, the slides she used, the footage, the joke. Every detail anchored me because facts are stubborn. Then I wrote the other truth in a separate paragraph. I froze. I stared at the sentence. Then I added another. I am not going to freeze again. There's a difference between not wanting a fight and not having the stomach to win one. I hadn't decided on revenge. I hadn't decided on justice, but I knew a production when I saw one, and this would require staging. The office quieted, as people slipped out to late lunches or early gossip. I stayed, nursing cardboard coffee, building a list. Stakeholders, vendors who'd worked with me, artists who liked me, the video editor who owed me a favor because I'd covered his banquet when he got food poisoning, the festival grounds manager who once said, "Keira, you're the only producer who reads the wind reports." My phone buzzed. Another calendar invite popped up. This one from Donovan's admin. Subject: Pre-meet Sloane, divided by Keira. Role alignment. Time: today, 4 p.m. Location: Donovan's office. I checked the clock. 3:18 p.m. My heart did a small, stunned jog. Role alignment is HR for, "We'll smile while we put you in a smaller box." I stood up. The room tilted. I sat down again. Then my Slack pinged. "Unknown. You don't know me, but I was in the control booth during the last showcase. I think you should see something before 4 p.m. I stared. My fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Me. Who is this? Unknown. Call me H. Check your email. I tabbed to my inbox. A new message waited. No subject, no signature. One attachment. A screen recording. I clicked. The video opened to our office hallway last Thursday. The camera had a bird's-eye angle security footage. It showed Sloane stepping into the edit bay after I'd left for the night, glancing over her shoulder, then plugging a drive into the console. My breath went cold. The screen recording fast-forwarded. Later, she left with a slim silver drive in her palm. The clip cut to another one. The conference room this morning, 10 minutes before I arrived. Sloane adjusting the projector settings, loading a presentation. My presentation. The recording ended. I heard my own pulse in my ears. A thick drum. A second email landed. Same anonymous address. Another attachment. This time, a voice memo I'd recorded to myself about Neon Roots last month. Only it had been sent from my account last night at 11:12 p.m. to Sloane. Except I hadn't sent it. The subject line read, "Here's the final voice memo for your pitch tomorrow." A chill slid over me. There was only one explanation that made sense and tasted like metal. Someone had used my laptop. Or someone had my password. Or my desk drawer. I tugged it open. Tucked under the notebooks was a USB-C dongle I didn't recognize. It had a tiny sticker on it. A snake, with its tail in its mouth. I turned it in my hands. The sticker caught the light. A third message arrived. Unknown. If you want the rest, meet me tonight. Midnight. Neon Boneyard. Back gate. Come alone. I looked at the clock. 3:27 p.m. At 4 p.m., I was scheduled to sit in a room where my voice would be paved over. At midnight, a stranger wanted to pull up the pavement. I closed my laptop, heart pounding, and stood. Sloane's laugh floated down the hall. The calendar reminder for 4 p.m. chimed, cheery and small. "Okay," I whispered. "Let's see what show you think you're headlining." I grabbed my bag, the mysterious dongle, and the only thing I owned that made me feel invincible. A black bomber jacket with a stitched-on patch that read, "Production." As I reached Donovan's door, my phone buzzed again. Unknown. One more thing. Don't trust your inbox. The door handle was cool under my palm. Behind it, roles were about to be aligned. I took a breath, turned the handle, and walked in. If you've ever stood in front of someone who's smiling while they erase you, you know the exact temperature of Donovan's office that afternoon. Polite, climate-controlled, 72 degrees, and condescending. Sloane sat beside me, legs crossed, her perfume smelling like expensive paper. Donovan leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. HR's Liana perched with her laptop open, her face already set to neutral observer. Keira, Donovan started, I just want to say you've been the backbone of this team. Reliable, thorough. You take chaos and make it run on time. Compliment sandwiches always start with bread. That's too nice. But, he continued, as we expand, we need clearer creative direction. Sloane's shown real initiative stepping into that leadership lane. You'll still be vital on execution, logistics, and vendor management. We'll call it a co-lead structure, for now. Co-lead. Translation, you do the work, she takes the credit. I kept my smile even. I'd practiced it for years in mirrors before trade shows pleasant but unreadable. I understand, I said. Can I clarify something? Of course, Donovan said. The project deck Sloane presented. Did you know I originated that concept? The air paused. Sloane's head tilted like a curious cat. Donovan frowned slightly. You two have been collaborating for months, right? Not on that, I said. That was mine. Every document, video, vendor, relationship mine. Sloane laughed lightly. Oh, Keira. We've always brainstormed together. You even sent me a voice memo last night about the pitch. I have it if you want to play it. My stomach dropped. The voice memo. The one I hadn't sent. I forced a shrug. Funny, I don't remember that. Donovan raised a hand. Diplomatic. Look, I don't want this to get messy. The company wins when the team works together. Sloane will lead creative direction. You'll manage production. Let's focus on the success of Neon Roots. Success built on theft. I nodded once, the motion stiff. Sure, team effort. When it ended, I walked out into the hallway with the calm of someone carrying a bomb. Sloane followed. Don't take it personally, she said. You're too talented to get stuck behind politics. I turned to her. You just made me invisible. Visibility is relative, she said, smiling. Some of us shine better in the spotlight. You're better in the dark. Then she walked away, and she was right about one thing. By 11:48 p.m., Vegas had cooled from inferno to furnace. I parked a block from the Neon Boneyard, the museum where old strip signs go to die or be reborn in Instagram photos. The city hummed behind me, but the boneyard was still. Fenced-in relics of light and lies, neon letters that once shouted glory or girls or paradise, now dim, chipped, resting. Back gate, midnight, alone. I tightened my jacket and slipped through a gap in the fence that looked too deliberate. The gravel crunched under my boots. Somewhere, a coyote yipped. Or maybe it was just an old sign groaning in the wind. Hello? I whispered. A shadow moved behind a rusted Sands marquee. Then a figure stepped out. Black hoodie. Camera bag slung crossbody. You came, they said. A voice low, genderless in the dark. Are you H? I asked. Yeah, Henry, technically. They lifted the hood. Mid-20s maybe. Sharp eyes, camera operator's tan line, nervous energy like caffeine in human form. Why are you helping me? I asked. They hesitated. Because I hate people who steal credit. And because I used to date Sloane. That landed like a cymbal crash. Long time ago, he said. She wanted access to clients, footage, contacts, same playbook. I didn't realize how bad she'd gotten until I saw her in the edit suite using your drive. So, you sent me the clips. Yeah. I pulled them off the internal archive before she deleted the originals. Deleted? He nodded. Everything tied to your timestamps vanished off the shared server yesterday. But I have backups. I just can't send them digitally. She monitors transfers. You'll need physical copies. He opened his bag and pulled out a small hard drive, matte black, unlabeled. I reached for it, but he didn't let go right away. There's more, he said. She didn't just steal your files. She's building something bigger. I found emails she's pitching Neon Roots to another company, a rival agency. They're dangling a creative director job. The air left my lungs. She's planning to quit? After the launch, he said. She'll walk away with your work as her portfolio. I felt the heat of Vegas even at midnight, pressing behind my eyes. How do I prove any of this? I asked. Henry smiled slightly. You're an event producer, right? You don't prove, you stage. That line hit something in me. He handed over the drive. This has everything: timestamps, metadata, the raw security footage, and her fake email headers. You'll want to watch it offline. Thank you, I said. He hesitated. Be careful. Sloane plays clean. Until she doesn't. A metallic clang echoed from deeper in the yard. Both of us froze. A flashlight beam cut across the broken letters. Security? Go, Henry hissed. I ducked behind a fallen oasis sign, my heart beating like it wanted out. Boots crunched closer. I waited until the sound faded, then slipped through the gap in the fence, breath ragged. In the distance, I saw a sleek black car idling under a streetlight, driver window down, Sloane's silhouette visible, phone to her ear. Coincidence? No chance. She turned her head just slightly. Our eyes met across the street. Then she smiled slow, knowing, and drove away. Back in my apartment, I triple-locked the door and set the hard drive on the counter like it was radioactive. I made coffee, even though it was 1 a.m. My hands shook too much to hold the mug. When I plugged in the drive, the folder structure bloomed like a confession. Footage, audio, emails, screen captures. I clicked one labeled Sloane Call 69. Her voice came through, crisp. I'm telling you, she's brilliant but naive. I can handle her. Once the launch hits, I'll transition out. You'll have the full deck and vendor network. Yes, I'll scrub the files before she notices. A man's voice answered faint, filtered through a speaker. And your NDA? I'll handle it. She trusts me. I paused the clip, my throat tightened. Then I clicked another folder labeled Internal Server Deleted. Among the files was something that stopped me cold. A draft of an internal press release. Subject: Leadership Promotion Announcement. Sloane Mercer, Creative Director, Neon Roots Division, drafted by Liana from HR. Date: tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. They weren't even waiting for the launch, they were announcing it now. I sat back, heart hammering. Every part of me screamed to storm into Donovan's office, slam the drive on his desk, and shout, "I told you so." But Henry's words replayed. You don't prove. You stage. If I wanted to win, I couldn't just reveal her. I had to produce her downfall. That's when the idea started forming. If she wanted a show, I'd give her one. 1 week until the Neon Roots preview event. Every sponsor, artist, and press contact would be there. Cameras. Industry eyes. I could show the footage. I could expose her live. But I'd need allies. I opened my group chat with Maya and Jersey. Me. Emergency. Need a favor. And maybe an alibi. Maya. Finally. Thought you were kidnapped. Jersey. What's up? Me. Sloane stole everything. I have proof. But I need to make it public. Quietly. Loudly. Both. They sent the same emoji. Maya. I'm in. What's the plan? Jersey. I like loud. I stared at the hard drive. Me. Let's make a show she'll never forget. Outside my window, the strip shimmered like it was in on the secret. I watched the lights flicker and thought about all the things people build just to be seen. Tomorrow, Sloane would see me. But first, I had to survive the week. I closed my laptop and leaned back, finally exhaling. Then my phone buzzed. A new text from an unknown number. You shouldn't have met him. A chill crawled up my spine. Who is this? No reply. Then a second message came through. Check your car. I stared at the phone. The hum of the air conditioner filled the silence. Slowly, I grabbed my keys and walked toward the window. In the street below, my car sat under the flickering light. On the windshield, a single USB drive glinted under the yellow glow. My heart thudded once, twice. Then I whispered to myself, "Okay, Sloane, let's play." I stood at the window with a key between my fingers like it was a talisman. The little drive on my car gleamed like a dare. Someone wanted me to find it. Someone wanted me to know they could reach me anywhere. I should have called the police. I didn't. Not yet. Calling the police felt like admitting I couldn't handle my own set, and producers, real ones, don't hand their problems to someone else. We make things happen. I waited until 6:12 a.m., when the city's hangover had thinned, and the sun started pushing neon aside. My hands were steady when I opened the car and picked up the USB. No fingerprints, no smear, no note. Back inside, I laid it beside Henry's hard drive. Two small black rectangles, identical in size but different in intent. One was a gift, the other, a threat. I plugged the new USB into my laptop with a careful, surgical calm. A single file popped up. Keira, read me, text. Open it, the file said. I didn't like being told to do anything, but I opened it. It contained 3 lines. We saw you meet H. Stop digging, or this goes public in a way that ruins you. S. M. Sloane Mercer's initials, clicking on my screen like a loaded gavel. I laughed, a short thing with no humor. Her reach extended to anonymous drives and bargaining and threats. She was playing a different game. I typed a reply into the file. I don't run from light. Then, I deleted the file. Bold? Stupid? Both. I called Maya and Jersey, like a conductor calling sectionals. Someone left a USB on my windshield, I said without preamble. Did it have glitter? Maya asked. Other kind. Threats. I told them about the file. She knows I met H. Who else knows? Jersey asked. Only you two, Henry, and a very nosy inbox. We're on your side, Maya said. And we're loud. What do you need? I heard the clatter of a coffee shop in the background of Maya's voice. Proof. A plan. Someone to get eyes on Sloane's meetings this week without looking like spies. I can get cameras on the loading dock, Jersey said, and a guy I trust in security who owes me a favor. We need someone to whisper to Donovan, Maya added. But subtle. Plant doubt without shouting theft. I thought about Donovan Navy's suit, polite frown. He wasn't evil, he was opportunistic. If someone told him Sloane had stitched together a pitch with stolen fabric, he might fold like a stage curtain. Okay, I said. We move quietly. We create momentum, where the truth is the star. We planned in 3 acts. Prove, disrupt, and expose. Prove. Gather incontrovertible evidence. Not just metadata or a shaky security clip, but something Donovan and the execs could see without needing to be convinced by me. Disrupt. Install doubt around Sloane's narrative. Seed small, believable inconsistencies into the chatter she'd used to sell herself. Expose. Use the Neon Roots preview night to release the files in a way that forces the room to acknowledge the origin story as mine. That night, Jersey tapped into an old friend who ran the hotel's backstage feed. I can loop the backstage cameras to record Sloane's private meetings, he said. But we need a reason for security to do it without the higher-ups noticing. We call it routine, I said. An inventory audit. Jersey, ask your guy, he promised. Maya had a softer weapon. Charm. She texted Donovan's assistant under the guise of a vendor with a potential catering conflict. Small talk blossomed into a coffee meet. Maya mentioned, almost casually, the importance of proper credit for creative teams, and how small mistakes can become HR headaches. It was the kind of seed that lives in soil. Meanwhile, I became paranoid in every doorframe. She was meticulous, a woman who prepared like it was a ritual and who hid her messes in plain sight. I also learned something else. Sloane was nervous. In meetings, she rifled through notes obsessively, a do-it-now panic rarely seen in people who felt fully secure. That made me feel a sliver better. Even predators have cracks. On Wednesday morning, I went to the server room with a fake request form for an archive pull. IT is an ally if you ask them with charm, and give them the right string of technical acronyms. I don't know them. I know the people who know them. 2 hours later, I had a set of logs that showed last week's deletions and the machines used. One IP address kept recurring. It was registered to a third-party contractor, Meridian Creative. Sloane's side consultancy on the weekends, a paper company, set up with a billing address, and a receptionist who never answered. I printed the logs and stapled them to a paginated packet titled Meridian Activity at 3 p.m. I slid the packet into Donovan's inbox, with the same slow authority I use when signing off on a load-in schedule. He texted me 5 minutes later, "Can we talk?" His office smelled like old cologne and the faint residue of lemon cleaner. He flipped through the packet. His face was unreadable. "This is alarming," he said. "I'll look into it. Thanks for bringing it up." Small victories feel like contraband. That night, Henry emailed an anonymous link to encrypted copies of files he'd not handed me earlier, raw camera footage, server logs with timestamps, and, most damning, an email thread between Sloane and a recruiter at a rival firm, praising her executive vision and attaching a sanitized copy of my deck. But the link had a caveat. It would self-destruct in 24 hours if downloaded. The point, Henry said, was to force me to act. I added the files to a secure flash, creating my own physical archive. I felt like a smuggler with a USB satchel. On Thursday, I got the call from Donovan's assistant. They were moving the leadership announcement to Friday morning, but wanted me to join a creative alignment breakfast. The word breakfast was code for a public stage. I thought about showing up with the files and shouting, but Henry's voice echoed, "You don't prove, you stage." Instead, I RSVP'd with calculated calm. That night, a man in a suit I didn't know brushed past me by the elevators at the hotel. He dropped a business card, no name, a phone number, and the logo of a legal consultancy. The card I could hold like a promise or a threat. I kept walking. At 11:43 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You're getting close." Good. One more thing. Sloane's binder. She keeps a physical portfolio. Check the conference room closet tomorrow before the briefing. I felt the room tilt. Whoever was sending these messages, had sent threats. Henry had helped me. This new person was a ghost in the machine, was playing a layered game. Someone wanted me to see, but secretly hoped I'd run. I closed my laptop and stared at the ceiling. The world had become a stage with spotlights pointed at me, and for the first time since the presentation, I felt what it's like to be in control of what the audience sees. But control is slippery. And in the dark, someone was moving the set pieces. I slept badly, waking to a single image replaying in my head. The USB on my windshield, the tiny sticker of a snake biting its tail. Morning came with a thud. I had to move fast. I packed the flash with the encrypted files, slid my phone into airplane mode, and walked to the office like I was going to a heist. At the elevator, Maya caught my arm. "You look ready," she said. "I hope so." I pulled the flash from my bag and felt its weight. Not heavy. Like a heartbeat. We stepped into the lobby, and the automatic doors sighed open. On the sidewalk, a man was waiting with a single bouquet of lilies. He looked at me, and then at Maya, and smiled with the kind of smile that says he was supposed to meet someone else. Sloane. She was walking toward the building, phone in hand, hair glossy, confidence turned up to 10. She saw us. Her eyes locked with mine and, for a half second, I saw something: curiosity, threat assessment. Then she smiled the smile she uses on donors and journalists. As she passed, she said, breezy as a weekend brunch, "Good luck tomorrow, Keira." Her words were a soft grenade. I held the flash, like an order. "Good luck," I repeated. But this time my voice wasn't hollow. It carried a promise. We walked into the building toward the meeting that would decide my role, her future, and whether truth could be staged into light. The conference room door closed behind us. On the table, beneath the projector, lay a slim black binder with Sloane's name written in gold marker. Someone had left it out in plain sight. I swallowed. And then, my phone vibrated airplane mode off for the briefest moment, and a single image downloaded to my locked screen. A photo taken through my window the night before. I was in it on the sidewalk, meeting Henry. Someone had been watching me long before I started watching back. My blood went cold. That photo on my phone froze me like an electric shock. The timestamp in the corner said 2 nights ago, 11:59 p.m., right when I'd met Henry in the neon boneyard. Someone hadn't just been watching. They'd been close enough to capture the moment the secret changed hands. I looked around the conference room. Empty except for the binder on the table, the soft hum of the projector, and my own reflection in the glass wall. I locked my phone, slid it into my bag, and forced my breathing steady. Whoever took that picture wanted me rattled before the show began. Too bad I've done events where pyrotechnics exploded 6 inches from my face. It takes more than a threat to make me drop the mic. The binder lay like an invitation. Sloane Mercer Neon Roots, launch. Gold lettering, tidy tabs, color-coded notes. She'd built herself a shrine. I flipped it open. Inside were printed mock-ups of my deck, except she'd swapped my name out for hers. Same layout, same phrases. Even my inside jokes in the captions, rewritten in her breezy handwriting. Note: adjust lighting to highlight performer K. V. Keep vibey. She'd literally left my initials. Then, tucked between a budget sheet and a vendor contact list, I found something else, a glossy printout of an email thread. Subject line: Press List Preview Night. Halfway down, Sloane's message to the PR team. We'll feature behind-the-scenes footage of my creative process in a teaser reel, highlight the late-night brainstorm clips, the personal commentary. Make sure it looks raw but authentic. Below it was a Dropbox link. And I knew that link it led to the exact same clips Henry had given me. The footage, where my voice could be heard. She was planning to use it publicly, my laugh, my words, my face in reflection as her proof of genius. I closed the binder slowly, my pulse hammering in my neck. She was giving me the opening I needed. I left the binder exactly where I'd found it and headed to the loading dock. Jersey was there, leaning on a stack of trusses, headset around his neck. "You look like someone found a secret recipe," he said. "She's planning to show my footage during the preview." "Seriously?" "Yeah. Which means if we switch the footage, swap it for something else before she cues the video, she'll expose herself without knowing." Jersey's grin spread. "You want me to stage a tech glitch, don't you?" "I want a spectacular glitch. Something everyone sees." He rubbed his chin. "What do you want it to play instead?" I handed him the flash drive Henry had given me. "This. The security footage, the emails, everything." "Let her press play." Jersey whistled low. "That's vicious. I love it. She should be Branson." "We'll call it poetic direction," I said. He nodded. "I'll prep the switch. Timing? Friday. The leadership announcement breakfast." He gave a mock salute. "Consider it done." As I turned to leave, he added, "Careful, Keira. You're setting fireworks in a small room. That's what makes it a show." Later that night, Maya and I camped at my apartment, surrounded by empty takeout boxes and glowing laptops. She was helping me rewrite my narrative literally. "If the footage drops," she said, "you need a voiceover explaining it's your work. Otherwise, she'll spin it." I nodded. "Something clean, factual, confident." We recorded it in one take. I'm Keira Vale. This project Neon Roots was my original concept. Every document, every test, every design came from my team and me. What you're about to see is proof. Maya layered it over the first few seconds of the security footage. When we hit play, the effect was electric. My voice cut clean through the noise, followed by the video of Sloane stealing files. "This," Maya said, "is the kind of revenge that deserves popcorn." "Not yet," I said. "The hardest part is acting normal until it happens." Thursday bled into Friday like a hangover. I barely slept. My stomach felt like it was filled with live wires. The leadership announcement breakfast was set in the Bellagio ballroom, white linens, soft jazz, mimosas, clinking. Donovan and the execs sat up front. Press badges glittered across the audience like sequins. Sloane stood near the stage, radiating charm, a gold microphone in hand. Her hair gleamed, her suit screamed confidence, and every movement said, "I've already won." I stood to the side with a headset on. pretending to check cue cards, pretending to be the quiet logistics girl she wanted me to be. The lights dimmed. The announcer's voice filled the room. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Neon Roots Creative Showcase. Please join me in congratulating our new creative director, Sloane Mercer. Applause exploded. Cameras flashed. She smiled that smooth, deliberate smile. Thank you, she said into the mic. This project began as a dream to fuse light, sound, and emotion into one immersive experience. Tonight, I'd like to share a glimpse into the creative process that made Neon Roots possible. She gestured toward the screen behind her. Play reel, she said. In the control booth, Jersey hit the cue. The lights dropped to black. The projector flickered. And then, my voice. I'm Keira Vale. This project, Neon Roots, was my original concept. The audience murmured. The screen brightened. Security footage rolled Sloane, sneaking into the edit bay, plugging in a drive, a timestamp. Then, a split screen of my pitch materials open on her laptop. Her email to the rival company, her voice saying, "She's brilliant but naive." The room gasped. Someone dropped a fork. Sloane froze mid-stage, eyes wide, color draining from her face. Donovan's expression went from polite pride to horror. I watched from the wings, hands trembling from adrenaline, not fear. The footage ended on a final shot. Sloane leaving the building with the silver drive. Then black. Silence. For a long, aching second, no one breathed. Then, the murmurs began. What? Is this real? She recorded herself? Donovan stood. Turn on the lights. The lights came up. Sloane tried to recover. This is being taken out of context, but no one was listening. Donovan looked at me, his face tight. Keira, my office, now. Behind the closed door, the tone was different. No jazz, no champagne, just damage control. I need to know exactly what happened, Donovan said. I handed him a clean folder with the logs, timestamps, and Henry's evidence. This is what she did. I didn't doctor anything. He read in silence. When he finally looked up, he sighed. This is catastrophic for her. For us. But you played this smart. I told you the truth, I said quietly. You didn't want to see it. He nodded. I see it now. You'll be hearing from legal and comms. I'll handle Sloane. As I turned to leave, he added, Keira, you could have destroyed your career if this had gone wrong. I smiled. Then it's good I know how to produce an ending. Outside, chaos reigned, staff whispering, PR on their phones, Sloane gone like smoke. Maya found me near the service hallway, grinning. You did it. The whole room saw. Not done yet, I said. There's still whoever's behind the threats. She frowned. You think it's not her? Maybe it was. Maybe not. I pulled up the photo on my phone, the one of me and Henry at the boneyard. Whoever took this had a better vantage point than Sloane ever did. Maya leaned in. Zoom in on the corner. I did. In the reflection of a broken neon letter, faint but visible, was a man's silhouette holding a camera rig. Not Henry. Someone older. Someone watching both of us. My stomach turned. Looks like we've got another player. By sunset, Sloane was suspended, pending investigation. HR scrubbed her profile off the company site. But revenge never ends cleanly. There's always debris. I got home and set the hard drives on the counter, trophies from a war that still smelled of smoke. Then my phone buzzed again. New message. Unknown number. That was quite a show, Keira. But the finale isn't yours yet. Attached was a photo. Henry tied to a chair, gagged, in what looked like a warehouse. My breath caught. The message continued. Midnight. Same boneyard. Come alone. Or the footage disappears and so does he. The blood drained from my face. The snake sticker symbol appeared again at the bottom of the message. I whispered to the empty room. Round 2. I told myself I'd learned how to keep calm in chaos. That night, calm felt like a costume I'd barely zipped up. My hands were steady because they had to be. Fear has a way of making your fingers work like they remember things your brain is trying to forget. I slipped into the neon boneyard alone, the way a thief slips into a vault. Slow, intentional, rehearsed. The broken letters rose like relics from a neon graveyard, the old signs throwing angular shadows that made the ground look like a film set. Henry's message replayed in my head like a cracked record. Come alone, or the footage disappears, and so does he. Alone. The demand was a lever. It forced me into a corner where I either played by their rules or let someone else die. I didn't pretend there was a moral high ground. There wasn't. There was only the choice. I kept to the shadows and moved with the kind of silence that comes from years of sneaking into venues before dawn. My headset was clipped to my collar, muted. Jersey had wired the audio to a burner channel he could jump onto if I keyed the mic 3 times. Maya had my emergency bag in her car on standby. I felt safer knowing they existed in the wings, even if they couldn't be there. The warehouse smelled like oil and old smoke. A single bulb swung overhead. My phone's flashlight carved a cone of white through the dark. Henry was there, in the center of the concrete floor, the chair beneath him squeaking. He was bruised, but conscious. A white gag had been cut from a t-shirt. My anger combusted before I could measure it. "Keira," he mouthed when I crouched. His voice was hoarse but grateful. "You came." "Shh," I said, working at the ropes. "Talk later. Who's here? Who did this?" He shrugged, which was a kind of honesty. "Not Sloane. She didn't have to get her hands dirty. I think her recruiter hired someone. Old school fixer Marcos. Heard his name when I snooped in Sloane's contacts. Marcos." The name sounded like a bad headline. People like him are good at leaving no fingerprints and lots of threats. I cut the ropes. Henry rubbed his wrists and tried to stand. Footsteps echoed. A shadow detached itself from the stacked signage. A man in a long coat came into the light. He was older than I expected, with a scar that ran like punctuation through his jaw. He smiled without humor. "Strategic," he said. "You brought flowers for the hostage." His voice was outwardly pleasant, which is how violence often speaks. "I don't negotiate on blackmail," I said. "What do you want?" He tilted his head. "You already showed everybody a nice little montage. The markets reacted. But there are loose ends. People who aren't supposed to be involved." He flicked his gaze to Henry. "You and your little cameraman made this messy." My hackles rose. "You think you can bully me into disappearing the files? I think you can hand them to me." He reached toward a crate at his side. "OneDrive. No cops. No cameras. Leave Henry. Walk away. Life goes on." And there it was. The same script. The same small negotiation that plays out in every heist movie I'd watched too many times because, honestly, production people love drama. "You want OneDrive?" I said. "Which one? You'll have to be specific." He laughed. "We have people. We know what you have." I let my silence work for me. The longer it hung, the more impatient he looked. Petty, predictable. That's when I moved. "You don't want to hear this," I said, and opened my palm to the light. Jersey's click sounded in my ear 3 quick beats. It was a pulse more than a sound, and Marcus's eyes flicked to me. For a second, his expression softened, like he'd been reminded of the audience waiting in the wings. Before he could react, lights popped on in a dozen places across the warehouse. Flood's Jersey had rerouted to the boneyard as part of a maintenance check. The bulbs were merciless. We'd planned for glare. "Police!" someone shouted. And then, more footsteps. The room filled with the noise of bodies moving and radios squawking. I realized I'd triggered the wrong kind of alarm. Not abandonment, but attention. Marcos's face tightened. He barked an order and lunged. Henry stepped back, stumbling. I moved to intercept, and everything devolved into a physical, messy thing. Hands on collars, a hard shove, a flaxen taste of adrenaline. The world narrowed. My knuckles hit his jaw. His head snapped back with a sound like paper tearing. For a second, I felt like I was on stage at a load-in, muscle memory making the right moves instinctually. I grabbed a crowbar from a nearby pallet and swung. He went down hard, but he didn't stay there. That was when the other man stepped out from the shadows, the silhouette I'd seen in the neon's reflection. He was taller, without the scar, and, to my horror, He wore an old security jacket with the hotel's crest. "You should have left when you had the chance," he said quietly. He lashed out with a knee that caught me below the ribs. The air left my lungs like a stolen breath. I fell against a crate and everything blurred. Faces, lights, the sound of my own ragged breathing. I tasted iron, and then someone hit me on the temple. The world folded into a bright, pinprick star, and then nothing. When I came back to myself, the warehouse was empty. Henry was gone. Marcos was gone. The man in the security jacket had disappeared with them both, or so it seemed. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A single message lit the screen from the unknown number that had been guiding and threatening in equal measure. "Good show, Keira. You got brave. You also got predictable." Attached was a photo of Henry sitting on the floor of another warehouse, gag replaced with a duct-taped smile, a clock in the background ticking toward midnight. Underneath, a second message. "One more play. Bring the drive." Or, "Henry doesn't make it to curtain call." My lungs seared. I had been disarmed and outmaneuvered, the way a show goes wrong when a cue is missed. I was on my knees on concrete, the cold finding the cuffs of my jeans. They'd taken Henry to a place that existed in the city's teeth, a location networked by favors, off-books, and people who don't ask too many questions. They'd underestimated me, or maybe they'd counted on it. Either way, I had two choices: be broken by the fallout, or make the next act, the one they never saw coming. I slid my hand into my jacket and felt the hard edges of two drives. One held the security footage, the proof, the evidence. The other held my backup encrypted copies, hidden across 3 locations, the seeds of a future not controlled by any recruiter or fixer. My head throbbed, but my voice was steady when I spoke into the mic clipped to my collar, the one Jersey could pick up. "If you touch him," I said, to myself, to the empty walls, to whoever was listening, "I will light the sky with everything. No hiding, no edits, no mercy." And then I stood. The city never sleeps, but I had to. I needed sleep the way a stage needs: blackout, brief, total, cleansing. When I opened my eyes 20 minutes later, the plan had built itself the way a good set does, piece by piece, until it held under lights. Step 1. Get Henry safe. Step 2. Trap the people who'd used him. Step 3. Make the truth so loud, no PR scrub could sand it down. No cops yet. This was my arena. Sirens would only hand them the story they wanted. I called Maya and Jersey. "Drop everything," I said. "We move at dusk." Jersey was already ahead of me. "Found a storage facility tied to Meridian Creative. Henry's there. We can loop cameras." "Perfect," I said. "Maya?" "I'll be on stage," she said. I didn't ask what she meant. With Maya, that always translated to, "I've got the story handled." We met at a diner near the facility, 3 coffees deep in adrenaline. Jersey slid a tablet across the table access logs, showing midnight entries with the same fake security badge that had taken Henry. Meridian again. We drove separately, headlights cutting through the Vegas sprawl. I'd designed bigger sets than this, but never one with this kind of stakes. The guard waved us in. The air smelled like rust and secrets. Unit 213. Tin walls. The faint hum of a fluorescent bulb. I pried open the latch. Henry sat under a tarp, tied but conscious, a cigarette stub at his feet. "Keira," he rasped. "You?" Footsteps thundered behind me. Shouts. They'd expected me, but not the cameras. 2 junior producers from the rival agency, tipped by Maya's rumor, arrived with rolling phones and curious eyes. Within minutes, noise brought half the city. Rival staff, onlookers, then finally the cops. Marcos and his partner bolted. Jersey tripped one with a well-placed steel-toed foot. The other tried to flee but ran straight into the rival team's camera light. By the time the cops cuffed them, the scene was pure theater. Henry was free. The villains were caught on tape. Vegas loves a show, and I'd just given it one. By morning, the fallout was everywhere. The rival agency uploaded the footage with ethical context. Maya's journalist friend dropped a feature by lunch. Theft, lies, and neon lights. The true story behind Las Vegas's brightest pitch. Sloane's name trended for all the wrong reasons. Donovan called me in. His face looked older, like guilt had aged him overnight. "You were right," he said quietly. "I should have listened." I placed the evidence folder on his desk, server logs, Henry's videos, the Meridian Trail. It's all there. Sloane didn't just steal a pitch, she built an empire of lies. He exhaled. "You could have ruined us." "I could have," I said, "but I love the work more than the war." By that afternoon, Sloane was arrested in an airport lounge, caught trying to board a flight to New York. The payment trail from Meridian to her credit cards sealed it. She claimed I'd framed her. Proof, though, is stubborn. I walked back into Donovan's office the next day, not as the wronged employee, but as the producer who'd finished the show. "I want full creative credit," I said. "My name on Neon Roots, and an IP clause that protects creators going forward." He didn't argue, he just nodded. Done. It was more than a promotion, it was reclamation. A woman who'd been invisible was suddenly undeniable. In the weeks that followed, Neon Roots became the redemption story every industry blog wanted to tell. Panels, podcasts, think pieces, all orbiting the same question. How do you protect ideas in a world built on sharing them? My answer was always simple. You document. You timestamp. You fight. Henry recovered fast. He got his camera back, his credit restored, and a new nickname in our group chat, the Captured. He laughed at it, because that's what survivors do. Sloane pled guilty to fraud and intellectual theft. Her reputation dimmed faster than neon at sunrise. The company rewrote its policies, every project now logged and credited by digital signature. It wasn't justice for everyone, but it was a start. Neon Roots launched 2 months later. Standing behind the stage, headset snug, lights rising over a desert crowd. I felt the moment I'd been building toward for a year, the hum of creation finally returned to me. The show was flawless. The sound, the lights, the crowd all alive. Maya squeezed my hand. "You staged the truth," she whispered. Jersey grinned. "And you didn't just get even, you got famous." I smiled, but it wasn't about fame, it was about ownership. About knowing that even if the world had tried to erase me, I'd written myself back in bold. After the encore, when the crowd's cheers faded into the night, I lingered backstage. The smell of dust and ozone filled the air. My heart slowed. I thought of the snake sticker, the drives, the betrayal. Then I thought about what they couldn't steal. My process, my grit, my name. Revenge wasn't the victory, integrity was. I went home, poured a glass of wine, and opened a blank document. At the top, I typed, "Neon Roots next season." Outside my window, the city pulsed with light. This time, I didn't feel the need to hide from it, because I finally knew how to run the show.